So we're down to the final four at the AFC Under-23 Championship, and we're going to be looking at the four semi-finalists in greater detail, starting with Korea Republic, who for me have been the most impressive side in the competition so far. Now, Kim Hak-boom has been blessed with a very well-balanced and deep squad with lots of quality in there to make changes from game to game to suit his tactics going into specific matches against specific opposition. Now, they generally set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Now, this is just a reference point for the players and for fans at times, because at various phases during the game, it can look something like this, where the average formation is a little bit more spread out. You get the fullbacks pushing on a little bit further forward. Some of the midfielders occupy the central spaces, which they try to dominate so they can build possession through those midfield areas before using the wider positions and the space created through their domination in those central positions. Now, they've had good strikers, good attacking quality in their side, and there's lots for Kim Hak-boom to pick from. Now, if you're looking at some of the players in those attacking areas, Jong Woo-yong is someone who has stepped up and has been lively for them out on the left flank. We've also got Lee Dong-kyung, the number 10 in central midfield, who scored the winner against Jordan in the quarterfinals that led them into the Final Four. But if I had to pick just one player out from this side who has impressed me the most, it's got to be Lee Dong-jun. Now, Lee Dong-jun has had 6 shots at goal in total, and he scored 2 goals for them in this competition so far, with a conversion rate of about 33.3%. He's someone who has impressed me with his dribbling ability, his skill and talent on the ball, and his ability to cause issues to opposition defenders. Just as he receives it in space, he's not afraid to take defenders on, create chances at goal for himself and for his teammates as well. Now, this is a very formidable Korea Republic side, and one to be wary of once the semi-finals kick off. Alright, then let's take a look now at Australia, the opponents for Korea Republic in that semi-final. Now, Australia have been another of the sides that has impressed in this competition so far. Graham Arnold is incredibly blessed. Just like Kim Hak-boom of Korea Republic, he's got a really deep squad and the ability to chop and change his starting lineup according to the style and the tactics he wants to impose on the opposition in their games. Now, they're a side that like to take the game to the opposition. But the thing about Australia is that they're quite balanced in their attacking areas. They're comfortable using the central areas. They're comfortable using both the wider positions out on the pitch as well. They like to dominate the central areas with numbers together closer in the middle of the park. And what happens then in those situations is, if they can't break through the middle with their possession, they look to then try and use the wider spaces, keeping that free for their wingbacks, or their fullbacks rather, to get forward and provide support for the attacking players. They've got a wealth of talent in that Australian side. And one of the players, if I had to pick out there from that team, who has impressed me the most, is Piscopo. You know, he has been very creative for this Australian team with elements of trying to be a little bit cheeky, a little bit different to try and break up opposition sides, play passes into his teammates and create goal-scoring opportunities for them. Overall, it is a really well-balanced side. Tasmore de Kutas in central defence alongside Dylan Ryan have been very solid and outstanding in central defence. And when you look further up the pitch, they've got players in there who can cause all sorts of issues for opposition sides with options to come in off the bench and change matches for them. So looking ahead to Saudi Arabia then, the next semi-finalists in this competition. Now, they're a side that have actually shown wonderful tactical flexibility throughout the competition. They started out against Japan in a 3-4-3 formation, and in that game they were reliant a lot upon their defensive qualities, which they've been very impressive with in this competition so far. And that's something that coach Saad Al-Shari has spoken about as well. He's been so impressed with their ability to just maintain their defensive discipline and their shape in their matches throughout this competition. But what we've also seen from them is a willingness and an ability to switch their tactical style up, go with the 4-2-3-1 in certain games where they've been expected to be the side that has had to impose themselves on the opposition. Now, I'm thinking about their quarterfinal tie, of course, where they changed it up against Thailand and became a little bit more attacking in that game. Of course, there were moments where they had to hold off, they had to show their defensive resilience in that one, but they've also shown that ability to be adaptable and flexible and get into counter-attacking areas and be clinical with their chance creation. If there's one area that they can improve on, it's their finishing touch, and that element of making sure they kill off the opposition once they get into good positions. Now, we spoke of their defensive adaptability and defensive strengths. Now, a couple of their players who have been responsible for that have been that central defensive partnership of Hassan Al-Tambakti and Abdul Basit Hindi. Two defenders who are great in those one-on-ones, good at winning tackles, good at winning the ball, but also wonderful in the overall play in terms of the build-up and the possession-based game that Saudi Arabia like to impose upon teams at times. Now, they will be a tough side to break down, having conceded just this one goal in the competition so far. But this is, again, another really well-balanced side that we've been blessed to witness in this competition so far. Okay, so we're down to the last of our final four now in Uzbekistan. Now, unlike some of the other sides in the competition so far, Drulovic has largely stuck with a similar sort of starting lineup through his games in this competition. And it's something that's paid dividends for him as the side has grown from strength to strength as the competition has gone on. They were their most impressive in that quarterfinal game against the UAE, in which they won by 5-1. We started to then see the attacking play of Kadirkulov and Bozorov getting into really good positions, interchanging their positions within that 4-2-3-1 formation that Uzbekistan have employed in this competition. In central midfield for Uzbekistan, what you have is Abdullayev and Ganiev, two players who are very capable of winning the ball, breaking up opposition attacks, and then distributing it really calmly and quickly to their side to initiate attacks for themselves going forward as well. Now, in those defensive positions with their fullbacks, you've got Alyanov on the left and Alyonov down the right-hand side. Now, defensively, they have been secure in those one-on-ones, but they play an important role in those attacking positions as well. Alyanov down the right-hand side gets forward to provide width and has a really good delivery with his crossing from the right-hand side. Alyonov, on the other hand, gets forward down the left and has shown his ability to get goals from that position. An important equalizer that he scored in that game against the UAE in the quarterfinals. Now, this Uzbekistan side round up a fascinating Final Four there with different teams, different tactical styles coming into it, coming up against each other. It's going to be a great round of matches in the semi-finals. Make sure you stay tuned to the AFC's digital channels for all your latest updates on the AFC Under-23 Championships.